Hello again, welcome to today's attempt at the TimeGuessr puzzle. This is the game that tests your history knowledge and your geography knowledge. We'll be given a series of 5 photos just like this one, and for each one we have to say, where in the world was it taken? And we also have to say, when in history was it taken? It could be anywhere from 1900 to the present day. This points, of course, the closer you are, both on the map and on the timeline. I usually aim for about 2/3 to 3/4, but of course it just very much depends on how good my guessing is, but also how obvious the photos are. So let's crack on and see how we do. Of course, feel free to play along at home and leave your guesses in the comments as well. We're starting with one that looks very Israeli, because this is definitely Hebrew. And Israel isn't a very big country, so I suppose I could put it anywhere and I'll be very close. I'd love to narrow it down a little bit more, but I've got no idea what city this is. Ah, there we go, Tel Aviv. That's very helpful, because that definitely doesn't say Tel Aviv. That must be a district of it or something. But yeah, I'm glad I don't have to try and decipher all of these other writings to work out where we are. Does it even say it on the number plate? It doesn't. In fact, the number plate is completely unhelpful, so I don't know what year it is. That's my next concern. These cars don't look particularly modern, but of course they're not hugely old either. It's going to be after 1962, I suspect. Let's go 70. We have 1970 in Tel Aviv, and I feel like I must be pretty close. Well, I'm definitely pretty close on the location, aren't I? Is there anything else? Where do I want to go anywhere in particular? Just seeing if any of the other names leap out to me when I zoom in, but no, I think we'll just plonk it where we've plonked it. Oh, it was 1962. I knew as soon as I said it's got to be after 1962 that it was going to be earlier. Oh, it's always the way. It starts off at 1962. I should just leave it there. But anyway, we've got 3/4 or so for that. That's not a bad start. This could be Venice. I mean, that's stereotypically where you get some canals. I think that says theatre. I just don't know what language it says it in. That is a Volkswagen logo. Is there any other clues? I feel like I'm going to have to go for Venice if I can't work anything else out, but it could just be the south coast of France or something like that, or it could be pretty much anywhere in America. The fact that I think it says theatre in English, that's very worrying. And that is a no left turn. So maybe this is... I mean, I feel like, is this the Beatles? Because this could be like the Liverpool Docks or something. Do I go for Italy or do I go for Britain? I really think that says theatre in English. It could be London as well. It could be the Grand Union Canal or something like that. The reason I thought it might be the Beatles is because obviously there's a load of paparazzi around. And they do have the kind of hairstyle that I think the Beatles would have had. I'm just not sure they actually look like the Beatles. Although he does look like Paul McCartney, maybe? But I'm not sure either of these look like John Lennon. Maybe it looks like Ringo Starr. I don't know what Ringo Starr looked like back then. I suppose I should mention George Harrison just for completeness. Could be George Harrison. But the thing is, if it is the Beatles, then it's going to be around the 60s as well. I'm not sure they usually have two photos from the correct decade, from the same decade rather. So if the previous one was 1962, maybe this one's going to be 59. That's based on not a lot. What does that say? VE something. I can't see what's going on. Those cars do look pretty old, so 59 isn't a bad shout. Oh, there's flags. That is a Swiss flag, a German flag. I think it's German. It's very difficult in black and white. Now I've got no idea where we are, because if there's Swiss and German flags, Could be the Italian flag in black and white. Why would there be so many flags if it's Britain? I'm not liking this because I feel like I'm going to be further away than I should be. Oh, do I go? There's a chance that it's Liverpool, but I'm going to go for London just because it's closer to Europe if I'm hopelessly wrong. Let's zoom in a bit more. Where is the Grand Union Canal? Up here. There we go, Little Venice. That could theoretically be correct, couldn't it? I'm not at all confident, but it is. It's in the right. What's the word? It's in the right continent. At least I hope so. I hope it's 1964, and it was Amsterdam's canals. I was right that it was a canal, and it wasn't Venice. In fact, I'm closer than I might have been if I'd gone for Venice, so I suppose that's not a complete disaster. Again, I should have just left it at 1962. We've proven, unconditionally, that they clearly sometimes have multiple ones from the same decade. Anyway, that took far too long, considering I didn't get that close in the end. What are we doing here? South Korea, I believe. It's a nice, colourful photo. Can I see any smartphones anywhere? Not sure I can. Don't know what he's looking at in his hand. I don't think it's a smartphone. Again, I don't know from the car number plates if there's a way to tell what year it would be or could be. I think we just have to go based on the cars, the models, the scenery, the outfits. 80s or 90s I'm leaning towards. I'm going to go 90s because it could also be 2000s. Let's go 96. We'll go 96, we'll go Seoul. Not going to overthink it. How close am I? Spot on! Wow! That's very unexpected, but I will take it. I'm not going to get spot on this one unless it explicitly says it's somewhere on that poster. Cerveza Exquisita. I mean, that's exquisite beer in Spanish, I believe. Something, 1935, there we go. Something in Mexico. Sinfónica de Mexico, perhaps. Something 1935, there we go. I mean, I don't know for sure that it's 1935, but there's a lot of signs that mention that year. So I think that's the year that we're going to have to go for. I mean, Mexico is a big place, so I might not get that close on the location, but I think I've got to just go for Mexico City and hope that they're not playing a dirty trick and leaving 20-year-old posters up. Looking at the cars, I can definitely believe that it's 1935. We'll zoom into Mexico City. Spot on and spot on again. So I did actually do better on that one than the previous one, I think. So, I mean, it's always much easier when it tells you the answer. Okay, what about question 5? There are British flags, or Union Jacks, I should say. Union flags. But yes, I was going to say, that's actually quite unusual for it to be if it's in Britain, but that says Adelaide. Adelaide Supply Stores. So I'm assuming it's in Adelaide in Australia. So, again, location shouldn't be too much of a problem, I hope. The only question is, what is the year? There is not a lot to go on here. Is that a car I can see in the background? I'm not sure if it is or not. Everyone's wearing a hat. I can't see how long their skirts are, which does not help. Can I see here? I think there's a little bit of ankle showing, which means it's not 1900. It's going to be 20s or after, probably, but I'm not certain. This is cropped at a very unfortunate position where I cannot see their legs. That's probably not a phrase I should be saying, but you know what I mean. I mean, the photo is in pretty good condition, so I'm not sure I can bring myself to go before World War One. I'm not sure I can bring myself to go before World War II, but everyone is just dressed so smartly that I think I've got to go pretty ancient. Yeah, we'll go 28. Between the wars. Hopefully I'm not too far off. We'll try and find Adelaide. There we go. Let's go there. I don't know. 1920. I was in the right decade. And I was not that far away. Well, I was obviously in the correct city because we explicitly found it mentioned, didn't we? So that made it easier. We get 3/4 on that one as well, so that is actually a pretty good total overall. 42,747. So that is 85%. Much higher than what I said I was aiming for. Not my highest ever, but pretty close to it. Very happy with that. We'll look at the leaderboard. I'm in the top 26%. Yeah, I mean, even the average of 37,000 is pretty high. I've seen much lower ones. We did better on both the year and the location than the average person. And I'm not surprised because it felt like I did pretty well today. First one, I was very close on the location. The year, I was pretty average, but location definitely helped. Surprised not that many people recognised Hebrew because once you recognise it, there's not that many countries that it could be in. That one, again, I was very average on both the year and on the location. This was a really good one, very close on the location and spot on the year, spot on the year as well, and almost exact on the location. I'm surprised people were so far off because it said it. And then the last one, again, you can't see it, but I was 8 years off. Average was 10.1, and I was 2.5 miles off. The average was 3,000 miles. People did not see Adelaide. They clearly just stopped looking at the Union flags. So, all the information was there. I just don't think everybody looked. But I'm not complaining because it means I did much better than the average. It's 42k. Let me know how you got on if you attempted this. That is TimeGuessr. Thank you for watching and bye for now.